What's up, guys? Dakota back with another video. Today I'm doing another weekly trading review, and what I basically do on these is just review my trades for the week, right? And I do these videos because I want to be able to better review and improve my trading skills and my trades that I take. And also, I wish someone had, when I first started, I wish someone had done these type of videos or shown the background work that actually goes into trading, so I actually knew what I was getting myself into. So hopefully I can be that for somebody else. But before actually diving into this, there's something new that I added to the breakdown on my Obsidian, and I think is really cool, right? Oops. So what I did was add a chart breaking down the R over the last reviews that I've done. And I can visually see what the R looks like compared to like previous weeks. I'm interested in actually adding max adverse excursion and max favorable excursion as well, like to see on a bar chart, probably multiple different colored on here. The best way that I can do it is see trade by trade what's the updraw and the drawdown. I think that'll be interesting to see. Like, I can see that in my journal, but I just like playing around with this so much, honestly. Okay. Anything else I added here? Yeah, I also added the link with the time to the specific layer of note where I actually plan the trade. So daily trading plan, the specific line where I plan this trade that I have laid out, and I believe that is everything new that I added in here, other than regular links to certain references. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this full review. So weekly trading review 2022, July 17th to 22nd. Breaking down the summary. Account ended with minus 0.53 R with 4 positions taken. I had 1 win, 1 loss, and the other 2 are floating in profit. I made 2 mistakes this week. I had a late entry on Euro USD due to like hoping that the trade would work out instead of closing when I initially planned to. And then I had FOMO, fear of missing out on dollar Swiss, which I'll break down both of those later. I know how to solve these problems, so why did I allow them to occur? The losses the last week were at the front of my mind and wanted to win it. Yeah, last week I had I lost 6 trades last week. I typically take 3 to 4 trades per week, and lost 6. Yeah, so I took 6, lost 6. But I ended with minus 37 R, and just that losing streak, it was still in my head. I was like, man, I really want a winner. I know definitely that wasn't my exact thought process, but I was really holding off and hoping for something like a guaranteed winner. Honestly, that's probably what my thought process was. Proper execution needs to be at the front of my mind at all times. The week was a B- for me. Every day was successful and high priority goals. The 2 mistakes really tanked the score. So the high priority goals are my daily trading plan and my daily report card, where I plan the day and review the day. That's on a day-to-day basis, and then this weekly review is the final topping off the high priority for the week, high priority task for the week. So let's start on Wednesday. Let's make this big, all right? Start on Wednesday, July 20th. It was a JCP setup after double top failure of test of high. Now, I kind of simplified the explanation, breaking down what type of setup it was, what were the reasons for entering. I can be more descriptive with the reason for entering, and I could make this more of a template so I can have specific questions being asked instead of just giving a very detailed writing a very detailed report, like of several paragraphs, as I've been doing. So that's the intention, or that's the way that I'm moving towards at the moment. So JCP setup, double top failure on test of high. Execution process, I saw a JCP opportunity, entered after 61.8 failure. SL movement after failure to close at the first trouble area instead of closing as planned. Close second hour after price closing below. Second hour of price closing below. Yeah, second hour of price closing below first trouble area daily level 1.022. Plan for the trade was to close on first failure of daily level 1.0221. Jeez. I did not, because I hoped to see price close above the level within 2 hours. Poor management on this trade. Cutting when I had planned was the right move in this situation. Not showing respect to my first trouble areas is low probability setups usually leads to losses. So the first thing, I knew this was a low probability setup because of the structure of it. Before actually giving me my JCP setup, it had a failure of the high of the pattern, right? Which on review of my losing trades, I've seen that, at least for the JCP, I've seen that typically happens before taking that loss, if a valid signal for entry comes, like in this situation. Also, low probability for me is 61.8. This setup off the 61.8 is not that great, and it takes a very long time for it to actually end up hitting targets if I'm down at the 61.8, because that generally has, at least I've noticed, it generally has a slow reaction compared to the 50 and 38. Why was I hoping for the trade to work? Coming off a losing streak, I wanted to see a winner. Solving the problem, I will strengthen my integrity by following through on my plans for trade ideas. I must remind myself that my recent performance does not have relevance to the current trading opportunities. Something that's really important to me is are my character traits, right? So we all have certain values, and if you really are intentional about defining those values for yourself, and you recognize when you're not following through on those values, I know for me, I feel really unpleased with myself. I'll say I'm really unpleased with myself when disappointed in myself when I don't follow through on the values that I have, right? Which I'm sure that's true for anybody that knows their values and tries to stay true with them. So I kind of link that to this in this scenario, having integrity, saying this is what I'm going to do. I need to do that, follow through with it. So it's not something that I'm like, I know I can't do it. I know I routinely can't stick to my plan. Let's say like a plan that I have for the day. Like I know I have the discipline to do that. So I'm not too concerned about that being a major problem. My major problem or major focus at the moment is working on my stops, making sure I'm not setting them too tight, and just giving my trades plenty of room to breathe. This will be the last week. That'll be the primary focus, and then going into the following week, going into next week will be not next week. Yeah, going into the following week would be the other one, which is not at the front of my mind right now. But I'll go to review and figure it out. Okay, so let's break down the weekly chart. I decided to make notes on the weekly chart because I believe 2 weeks ago, reviews. One of my reviews, I really had tunnel vision on the hourly time frame, so I started to make more notes on the weekly and daily time frame instead of just looking at them and saying, "Oh, that's what it looks like. Let me go down to the hourly time frame, and this is what I'm going to execute on." Right? So, basically breaking down this, the weekly and daily is telling me, even though I do that in my head, been more intentional about it by actually typing it out. Okay, so weekly failure at 99.91. Close this hammer, looking for long bearish retracement. So here we have a downtrend on Euro USD, and honestly, let me bring up a better weekly screenshot. Matter of fact, I could just bring up my markup for Euro on the weekly right now. Let's hide that so we don't get off focus. Weekly. Oh yeah. So I wanted to work on getting better at the weekly larger time frame screenshots, because this type of screenshot I'm taking, just taking it when it's reset, having at least 4 to 5 years of data in there on the weekly, and Here I'm really zoned in onto what's happening right now, which is good, like paying attention to recent price action, but I also want to see the overall structure and what we're really paying attention to. So for this week's, I just finished my plan before doing this review, or at least recording this review. Recognizing this low has been broken, right? Because if I just zoom in all the way here and then take this screenshot, I don't really know what's going on over here. I don't really know what's the context, and I need a lot of context, and I may write that in words, but I also need that. I would appreciate having that visually as well. All right, so want to point that out. Let's go to the next one. So this is the plan. I was looking for a buy just beneath this daily level, looking for price to reach that weekly level. And as you can see, like basic impulse, looking for this correction for the JCP setup, and also potential DSS for last low pre-break, which I believe I need to set. Well, it's already set, but I need to make some adjustments to that. And this is also coming off of a descending channel, which I actually missed because the opportunity came overnight, so I wasn't able to execute on it. And that target has been hit. Target's been hit, right? So typically after this, there's a slight retracement before price continue to push up. At least some of the ones that I've studied. I'm studying and gathering stats on the descending channels right now, so work in progress. Going to take some time to get all the stats and all the screenshots. But looking for price to continue pushing up, because I need to see if sellers hold this area at 1.348 and push the market down. Now, as you saw in my notes, on my recent weekly markup, I see the rejection off the parity to be kind of artificial. Because we're not accustomed to having euro being less than $1, right? So clearly a lot of people are going to be holding or looking to buy here. But price has been on a downtrend for the last 8 months. Yeah. Okay, and it's taking out some lows, like some significant lows. So I'd like to see like a test up here and sellers to just reconfirm that they're still strong in the situation. So let's go. This is the double top currents. We got failure here. Now this is probably going to be a signal for me to actually not go for this buy in the situation. It's clear impulse, clear correction. We got the 3 legs, but that failure at the high could turn into a signal for me. Honestly, I'm leaning to the side of that turning into a signal for me not to take this buy, and possibly taking a sell in this situation. Like obviously it's a double top. Like I could take it as a round of retest of the double top in this here, or I could take it as failure here on the close of this candle, which would be pretty interesting. But there's not much room. There's not really anything that I can identify that stop of, and we don't really have confirmation to the downside, especially for equaling this low here. As far as like the run after the break here, that's sketchy to me, because the run's not always going to be like to the next level, or at least I haven't seen it regularly be to the next level. I have to intentionally test this because these are just off the cuff reviews that I've done on this specific scenario. Like I only have 3 specific ones that I've actually studied on GUEJ, which has happened over the last 4 months. And there was another one, but these are the ones that I definitely went back and looked at. So this is the review, just breaking down the execution portion of this. For the screenshots, I am going to be doing more observations and execution, so there'll probably be an extra screenshot. So of any observation that I may have missed that wasn't here, I'll have an observation screenshots of things that I may not have noticed, or I was noticing, or was paying attention to while I was in the trade, and then I'll have a screenshot of what were my actual execution steps. Like for one, if it was a limit order, I'd say, okay, limit order activated. If there's a news events coming out at a certain time, that would be an observation, and I'll put that under a specific candle, that type of thing. right? Like I said in one of my weekly reviews, I want to have these at a much higher standard than what they are right now, and that requires me being way more detailed and way more organized in when I'm actually approaching this, so that I have plenty of time to be as detailed as I need to be. So let's go to the next trade. Euro, dollar Swiss. Same day, JCP setup selling off 38.2 fib. This was actually an early entry. I entered off the exhaustion of 38.2 level, but it was not at a significant price level, right? So it was off fib level, but not a price level that I labeled as, hey, this is a significant level to make a decision at. That price is possibly going to turn at or break through, right? I closed after recognizing the entry price had no major level for confluence and price moving aggressively to our stop. So price was moving pretty aggressively. It moved like it wasn't giving me the price action I was looking for, so I cut the trade as it was getting closer and closer to my stop, which, like, if you've been following me for a while, you know I have the 50% rule off JCP setups. Basically found out in 2021 or 2020 that, I think it was 2021, most of my winners don't draw down more than 50% on the JCP setup. So that was an opportunity for me to get early exits, but something has changed with that factor. That's why I didn't implement it in this situation or any of my trades recently, because my stop has been moved. Because I know that most of my winners on JCP setup don't draw down more than 50%. Why would I keep my stop outsized of the usual winner? I can minimize my stop, and figure out if there's an opportunity to cut even earlier. And that could be, if you decide to implement that type of thing, that could mean saying, okay, if my typical stop is 20%, 50% drawdown, so 10 pips drawdown, cut the trade, but then you realize, okay, it doesn't draw down more than about 40%, so I can reduce my stop from that 20% down to 10 pips, from 20 pips down to 10 pips per trade, and that means you get new stats, right? Because drawdown percentage is going to be different, and you can keep the risk the same, saying, okay, I'm hypothetically put my risk at 1% for 20 pips, but I'm actually going to put my stop loss at 10 pips, so I'll only be risking 0.5% on that trade. Or you could risk the whole 1% on the 10 pips. Two different variations that I kind of played around with. I ended up just going with the full clip at 1% on the 10 pips. That's just an example. My stop losses are dynamic. They're not static. Oh, what? They're dynamic, right? Depending on what the market's showing me. So here on the weekly time frame, we got the shooting star. Shooting star, I believe this is I identified this as a daily level. Let's go down here. Yeah, daily level, and I was looking at it as more of a liquidity play. I saw some orders there that I was kind of interested in. And I also saw some orders underneath where price was on the weekly time frame, which we go back to in this area. And I'm looking for price to actually make a play for this. Take out these orders because price doesn't actually come below a low that's over here. Again, this is a really tight screenshot. If we had a larger, let's go ahead and make a bigger perspective, because in the future when I actually come to review this, it'll be beneficial instead of actually going all the way there, right? So if I pay attention to this high, this is, let's just say I pay attention to this high, I typically like to see this come back down, test below the high, and see where we go from there. So clearly there are orders here. Price overcame some sellers in this situation, and price gave a test of this area, but not all the way down to that level. So I'm looking for a deeper test there. All right, let's go down to the next one. Daily time frame, we got a break of a daily level, looking for round of retest at that level. Basic JCP setup coming off the back end of a descending channel. All right, something I want to pay attention to on these channel plays, like I said, it's one of the best setups I have for this year specifically, are what happens after the target's hit in the situation. Right, so like I said, I've noticed that we get initial rejection at the top of there, like we did here. And then we get a slight pullback, and then price continues pushing through that level. All right, so that would be really interesting to see if that's a regular thing, and if that's an opportunity where instead of simply closing here, possibly taking partials on the initial position. Man, I actually like closing there. Well, I'll figure it out, right? But possibly closing here and then looking for another position to add, preempting a possible break at that level. As far as like a break above and around a retest below that also be something that I could test instead of just trying to catch the full move on that initial trade. So this is the loss here. Got rejection off this 38.2, which rejection looked really nice. That's something that I enter off of all the time. I came a little bit late to well, I wasn't late, I was on time, but to the actual entry, I was late. But the R was still valid for me to take, so I took the position as if I entered in the ideal scenario. Unfortunately, this was not at a key level. This is just in no man's land. The key level that I'm actually looking for is the daily level up here, right? And we can see price actually got up there, which we'll talk about later. And this is me just breaking down why I should not have taken it. Closed after recognizing exhaustion. There we go. So next trade, dollar Swiss again, following day, planned 15-minute JCP setup. 15 minutes based off of the JCP actual entry. The entry is based off the 15-minute. The setup is based off the 1 hour. Right, so this was a very strict JCP setup for the people that know it. And that was the day I planned the trade. Removed target and set alert at initial entry level for potential play on liquidity pool. If price rejects initial target level after second hour, I will close position. Otherwise, I will hold with target being low of liquidity pool. And looking for adding opportunities. Holding over weekend for possible tests. That's continuation up. So weekly, like I said, we got this weekly shooting star. And then we got to break at this daily level, looking for around a retest. We got that opportunity there and looking for price to come down to that daily level. This was the initial setup, right? Just to look for a play for price to push down. Let's look closer at the actual rejection. Let's actually go back up and look at the rejection here. All right, so this is the initial rejection, but then price came back up and gave another rejection here. And that was the primary. Like this rejection, it's nice. It's showing failure at that level, but it's not the type of rejection that I'm looking for on that entry. So I wasn't willing to take that position. So I was really looking for price to come back up here, and I just decided to wait. And luckily it did. It came back up. I was able to enter at the time that I come to review charts in the morning. Again, entry was slightly late. My entry ideally is right here in this situation, but that was a few hours before I actually ended up hopping on the charts. But I was able to get a nice entry, nice stop as well. Instead of placing my stop here, this is a personal note. Instead of placing my stop above the price action candle, I placed it above the thrust candle in this situation. I don't believe I'll give my reasoning for that unless it's in my trading plan or unless it's in Obsidian on the daily trading plan. Let's see. On the day of plan entry, otherwise hold the opportunity. What about report card? Routine. So okay, remembering why I did that, I was definitely hesitant to place my stop in the ideal situation for JCP, and I was combating with myself, saying, man, maybe I should give the trade more room to breathe, or maybe I should keep it tight. So I ended up just settling and saying, let me give it more room to breathe, and let's see if the idea actually ends up working. And I lost a few R, but it's not that big of a deal. Still a really nice trade, and I'm actually still holding on to it because it did turn into a runner because of the reaction here at 96.54, which we'll see on the next trade. Dollar Swiss put a limit in to add to this position for price to continue to scale down at 96.58. That activated overnight, and look for price to at least fake out the daily level 96.54 around 16 around 4 p.m. Will I will wait to see if price is likely to close beneath the level or not. If we are likely to close below, I will look for inverse to further add position next week, and also look for an opportunity to adjust stops again. Idea planned on the 21st. Okay, holding over the weekend, cool. So price ended up closing below that daily level, which we'll look at here. This is the daily level. I was looking for either price to fail here and form some type of a hammer similar to this candle right here, or close below. If it closed below, that would give me a lot of confidence to look for a round of retest on this daily level and for price to continue pushing down, right? I actually converted this daily level to an hourly level, more of a G3 hourly level for this week that I'm currently going into. Simply because like that daily level was just based off that daily low and not really off of more structure to the left side. But let's go ahead and look at this added position here. Got the breakdown here, and after this break, I believe I moved my stop above this candle, this large bearish candle here, and I was looking for this level, right? Nope. No. Okay, I remember. Yeah. So the night before, when I was doing my daily review, on the close of the day, I realized that I saw that price close below this level here, and we got an untested level within that area. If you go down to the 15 minute, I didn't do this, but I just clearly saw it on the 1 hour time frame. It will be clear on the 15 minute or a lower time frame, whatever, right? So I went ahead and set a limit before going to bed and placed my stop at these at where I moved my initial trade stop to. And then targets below that weekly level down here, which is the liquidity play that I'm actually going for on this idea. I ended up moving this. Like I said, I canceled my initial target for this first trade, and I wanted to see how price reacted to this area. When price got to this area, it closed through it, but it didn't close through it aggressively, and I didn't get any type of rejection there. So that gave me more confidence to actually go ahead and actually set in this target down at this low. And for this trade, I just immediately set my level, or not my level, like my target level, down to the play of the liquidity pool, because it's an overnight order and it's very short. The R that was provided in this situation wasn't at least 0.5 R, so it wasn't even good enough for me to set a target there in the first place. But yeah, looking for price to continue down. Going into the following week, I'm looking to add around this daily level. Currently pre-emptying, right? I'm pre-emptying that level. Yeah, I'm leaning into this level because the break here just came just below it, unfortunately, and the other levels have already been tested. So if we do get to add, I'm looking for actual price action entry instead of a limit order entry here, because my stop is really tight at this in this situation. If we do get any type of gap or stretch up to the upside and see a spike, I could easily be taken out. And if I put my full clip back on, basically bringing my risk back up to 1% on the entire position, I mean, I just take a full 1% loss instead of gathering some profit in the situation. Yeah, so if I do get some price action here telling me to enter this trade, basically failure at the 96.54, I will go ahead and move my stop down to this thrust candle of that level, and then that would convert this to a 7R, the added position to a 7R. So that has a potential for initial positions 9R, we'll just round it, 9R, 4R, 13, 7, 20. So if this does end up playing out how I'm mapping it out, that's about a 20R opportunity on this trade. So that would be a really, really nice trade. Wow, I did not know I actually added this in here. So awesome. So this is what I'm pretty much looking for at the moment. All right, so that's the week. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, comments, or anything that you guys think I could do to improve this a lot better. Oh, if you use Obsidian, of course, like if you know something really cool that I could add in here, my ears are wide open for that, because I love playing around with this thing. What's going on? Oh, this is my report card. Oops. But I will catch you guys in the next one.